Peace. Good. Oh, now we go back before that, man. Little League Baseball back
Yeah,
at
right.
Miller Community Center, you know.
Yeah, man, you're right. It's
Coach
like
Harvey.
we go back like racism. We go way back.
Oh man.
All right, man. It's great. You know, I was really excited. I was actually supposed to be out of town this past weekend. And I was really excited because and I changed my plans because I said there's no bigger story for uplift of our community than for us to be there to cover the groundbreaking of Africatown Plaza there on 23rd and Spring. Man, tell us all about it.
Man, that's an honor, you know. It was a great day in the Central District, Africatown, you know, breaking ground on our next project. You know, it's been many years in the making. The site of the Umoja Peace Center, which was founded back in 2008, turning what was then, you know, what people was calling crack houses, you know, we say self-medication facilities in the community into a youth-focused cultural center and community space. And, you know, 14 years later, we're able to break ground on a 7-story building that is dedicated to continuing the work that we started with the Liberty Bank building and the Africatown, you know, community development initiative overall, which is to maintain this as a community, the Central District and Seattle as a place where Black people can be rooted, can grow, and can thrive into the future. You know, it was a good day. I mean, this is 2022. It's 140 years since William Gross bought land, you know, 12 acres that established this as a settling place for Black people and Black families. So to be able to continue to make space for that is our greatest way to honor that Black history.
Yeah, you know, I'm often telling people as well that it's a rightful claim when people are like, well, you know, Black people just kind of came during the 40s and the 50s. Like, nah, man, you know what I'm saying? And even just 2 blocks from here is where William Gross, right here on First Avenue, where he had a hotel, he had a business, a thriving business right here. You know, imagine what William Gross purchased that land there in the Central District before Washington was even a state.
That's right. That's right. He was a developer back then, you know, and it's sad that we don't have large-scale Black developers across the city and the state, you know, but we're stepping into that role with Africatown Community Land Trust and hopefully inspiring others as well, so that we can be, you know, more of these cranes can be building things that will make space for our community as well.
All right. So, but I went back into the time machine, and you know, the time machine is important too, because a lot of times people think that Converge just popped up at the Seattle protests. You know what I'm saying? Or we was just covering community news back during, you know, the protest. This is 2019, right? And this is you right here, the team from the Africatown Community Land Trust. And this is when the initial award came out after years of putting the proposal together. Then it went to the city. Then the city jumped on board. This is December of 2019 when the original award came out.
It's a great day today for our community. Africatown Plaza was announced as a recipient of Office of Housing funding in the amount of $12 million to move the Africatown Plaza project forward.
8 buildings will provide homes to Seattle's working individuals and families, healthcare workers and preschool teachers, baristas and bartenders, musicians and fitness instructors, so that they not only work in Seattle, but they can live here too, and provide predictability and stability for their families and children. Funding awards include Africatown Plaza by Africatown Community Land Trust and Capitol Hill Housing.
This is an important step towards making sure if this is going to be a world-class city, it should have a world-class Black and African diaspora community. And this is an important step today. The investment in Africatown Plaza was an important step towards having a world-class city and not a one-class city.
I don't know if anyone is here from Africatown who has done a great job. There we go. And there's Wyking over there. Who saw the importance of reclaiming community for community. and making sure that it could stand up, not just housing, but commercial properties that were for the community and by the community. And so bringing together all of those interests, we really can make sure that this city remains diverse and welcoming and that people can live in every corner of this city, regardless of who they are or where they work.
It's going to get built right there on 23rd and Union. This is a product of so much community input, work, years of community members coming together to make this project a reality, to honor the legacy of the Black community that has called the Central District home for almost 140 years. People building a community, building businesses, building institutions, houses, places of worship, events. All of this is what we seek to honor in building the housing and the space for our businesses and culture to continue to grow and thrive in place.
The benefits of these investments extend beyond homes for individual people. They serve our city as a whole. Through this investment, we address displacement and advance racial equity, including in neighborhoods like the Central District, where community-driven project seeks to reverse the impacts of displacement of the African American community.
You know, Seattle is a place where hard problems are being solved for the global economy every day. And so we think that this is a place where there can be leadership around how our communities can be developed, redeveloped, revitalized without displacement. We can hack gentrification. We can disrupt displacement here in Seattle. When you were on the campaign trail, you said Africatown should not just be a model for Seattle, but for the nation.
Exactly right.
You're making an investment into that?
We're making an investment, but more importantly, we're investing in the community who saw that vision.
Exactly.
And it's raising up the community and investing in community because we've seen the community knows what it needs, and it's up to the city to empower that.
Absolutely, and we looked at Seattle can lead.
Seattle can lead. And we know that the strength, you look at this board or any of these, behind it are hundreds of hours of community vision and dreams and hard work to make it reality.
That's right. We're going to need our community to get more involved, to keep their hands on, to keep their eyes on, so we can continue to accelerate this and have more projects like this in the community. And we thank all of our partners that we've been working with, Capitol Hill Housing, Black Community Impact Alliance, Bird Bar Place, and so many.
All right, 2019. There, it's been a few changes since then. We got a new mayor, and Capitol Hill Housing is now Community Roots Housing. But I just wanted to share with the audience that, like, man, this is, you know, it takes time, but you guys have been consistent on this mission and the development here of Africatown Plaza and other properties.
Absolutely. You know, Africatown is an asset-based community development initiative. The Land Trust is one part of that, focused on acquiring and developing land so that we have space for us to live, businesses to thrive, our culture to continue to grow and flourish in this city. So, you know, yeah, that's a throwback, man. You know, Africatown Media powered by Converge. You know, it's a long. We're here now. You know, start. Where do we? You know,
come on, man. You know, it's important. You know, we always have to remind people. Somehow people think that I was just a hobbyist and chilling at home with an iPhone during the Seattle protests or something. They don't realize we've been, you know, uplifting stories about our community for years and for years, man.
You've been around the world, man. We was just blessed to have you come back and cross paths and take reroute, you know, right back in the community.
Reroute it. All right. So I know you've seen this before, but some of our viewing audience hasn't. So we came together, me and Jake Gravbrot, man, you know, Wonder Twins Unite out there on Saturday, and we put together a great video. But I'll let you set it up and just telling people what they're getting ready to see here and what the experience was like.
Definitely not your average groundbreaking. You know, we took it back to the foundation. A lot of the performers and presenters were original Umoja Peace Center, you know, kind of founders that went in there and cleaned these houses out that looked like the houses after Katrina in New Orleans, you know, and made that into a vibrant space. And so building on that foundation, we wanted to revisit that, you know, the spirit of Sankofa, to go back and fetch and look back to know where you're going. So you're going to see culture, you're going to see positive energy, you're going to see, you know, our brilliant artists, you know, and you're going to see our people, you know, and you see elected officials too that came out and spoke in support. You know, our mayor, our county councilman, Gamai Zahalai, state representative Kirsten Talley Harris, and Mayor Bruce Harrell. So among some of those that also spoke.
We're here for land ownership. We want to build something that lasts longer than any one of ourselves. We want to build something that we can pass on to our children and our children's children so that they can share in the prosperity of this booming region, so they can share in the economy of Martin Luther King County. Because we all know that today is about more than the individuals and the families who are going to find an affordable home in this building. Today is about more than the artists who are going to be able to celebrate and enshrine Black culture in this space. Today is about more than the small businesses who are going to open on this block and generate Black wealth for generations. Today is about something bigger. Today is about a movement. Today is about a movement to create a new normal. Today is about community ownership. Today is about deepening our roots in the historic epicenter of Seattle's Black community.
Ring with the harmonies of liberty.
I think this moment just signifies what's possible. When we have a thought, we come together around that thought, and then we take that and rally and push it forward to make it real. I think that's what it represents, possibility, that a different future is possible. A lot of times it looks very bleak, but hopefully this is just, you know, a small light, a small candle. And if we keep lighting candles and then put our candles together, you know, we can create a different situation.
If you do things without those who have sacrificed for you, then they will remind you of where you come from and whose you are. So if you find yourself challenged, you may want to think about those who fed you before you could feed yourself.
We're breaking ground on Africatown Plaza. It's 140 years since, you know, 1882, when William Gross bought the 12 acres from Henry Yesler and made this a Black community. So we're continuing all that legacy of making space for the Black community to be able to grow and thrive. It's been a long journey. This is just another step in the marathon, but we definitely want to pick up the pace.
With community, we know that the abundance will be given to all. And that's what I think of with what is today.
It's going to be something like nothing you've ever seen in this, you know, in this area, right? You know, it's not going to look like all of the Lego blocks that's been coming. It's 126 units, 7 stories, over commercial and community space. The art, we have Black artists from right here, genius from across the country and across the world that are contributing to telling the story of our unique journey and making this a place where people can come back and connect.
Money ain't right, money ain't tight. The cost of living is the need for money in this life. Humanity and darkness and humanity. Scared to doubt the word and doubt the work to believe.
As Frederick Douglass, our ancestors, said, we might not get everything we fight for, but we're going to fight for everything we get. And we're definitely not waving a white flag, because if our ancestors waved the white flag, we wouldn't be able to be here today. So in honoring our great Black history, our charge is to make our history count, and we're looking at this as another contribution, you know, in our journey towards realizing our greatness.
All right, you see the uplift is real. Big shout out, thank you to Jake Grabber on the slow mo and the drone photography there, and Adafua on the soundtrack. Man, it was dope. You know, I go to a lot of groundbreakings, and it was special for a lot of different reasons for me. I mean, on so many different levels, but just all together, the program was just dope. You know what I'm saying? And to pull in so many different aspects of community there, from the music, from the spiritual side, from the spoken word, from community members, from the A1 from day one, the people who were there all the way back there in 2008, and the people who maintained the vision there, and also to our elected officials. Man, it was a real special day. But now the ground's been broke, man. What's next there? I mean, how long is it going to take? What's the next steps?
I mean, I just had to, that was a great production, you know. Shout out, so glad Converge is on the scene, and Jake, you know, great job capturing that moment in history. You know, for me, the best part, you know, and this is our second groundbreaking, Liberty Bank was the first, is our children and our young people being able to have those shovels in their hand and those hard hats on, and so that they can feel connected and rooted in the community, and understand that, you know, we're doing this for them, you know, to be able to pass the baton and to see themselves as, you know, owners and builders of the future. So, you know, yeah, that was a great day. When you're in the whirlwind, you don't really, you know, get to experience. So to be able to look back and just see, you know, some of what happened. Thank you for that.
No, man, thank you. And you know, we hear it all the time. They're even saying this here in the comments, that Africatown Community Land Trust is really out front of the nation. Sometimes some things we know, like, oh, Seattle technology is a hub, or for this company or that company and everything else, and we look at it as being a hub. But a lot of times, especially in our community, some of the things that we do here, especially due to our small population, we don't realize that we're national leaders in the space. Africatown Community Land Trust is actually a national leader, and different organizations from different cities across America are actually trying to study what you guys are doing here now, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of, you know, much larger Black communities are really looking to the work. Even the original Africatown in Mobile, Alabama, who we are, you know, in correspondence and partnership with, and that's a powerful history in itself that I encourage everyone to look into. It's becoming more visible, but yeah, I think you know, in 2015, you know, we took it upon ourselves to say we want to hack gentrification, you know, taking a page out of the technology book and disrupt displacement, you know. So we've been working with through our own innovative strategies, community technology. You know, technology isn't always about, you know, a device or a computer, but really the original intelligence is us, right? And then, you know, artificial intelligence is produced from us. But we've been working hard, you know, and it takes a lot of different types of strategic partnerships, bringing a lot of different minds into the room, from our community members to all of the, you know, the Black architects and planners that join with us, to other partners like, you know, the Forterras and the Community Roots Housing and Lake Union Partners in terms of the actual transaction to get this acquisition done. And our work is really about creating, it's not just about the Central District. You got to start somewhere. So we start where we started, right? And preserve that legacy. But it's really about developing new models for Black community to thrive. You know, so long in our experience here in this country, it's been about surviving, you know, getting in where we fit in, making a way out of no way. But what does it mean to design, you know, with our unique experiences, our unique ways of being at the center of what is being designed and built? And you'll see that, you know, also in the, you know, in the architecture, right, of the building is different. We were fortunate to be able to bring together brilliant Black architects through working with GGLO as our architect of record, and David Baker and Dream Collaborative out of Boston. So, you know, we didn't limit the brilliance to our local area, and that's part of what Africatown is about. You know, being able to tap in to the greatness of our past, regardless of location or time, right, to find that inspiration and to build into the future. And so, you know, we're inspired by our stories right here in the Central District, Jackson Street Jazz legacy, to D. Charlene Williams, and so the Union Street, you know, just being a core, Miss Helen's, Thompson's point of view. But we're also inspired by our history before the period of enslavement and throughout the world.
Right. And when we talk about inspiration and inspiration in this moment in contemporary times here, the Liberty Bank building, which is also Africatown Community Land Trust building right across the street, you have Communion, which is inspiring people. Communion named one of the top 12 restaurants in the world by Condé Nast Traveler last year. Communion is sitting right there in the Liberty Bank building. Excuse me. It's also Earl's Cut and Styles, 30 years there. And the Liberty Bank building gave Earl a home to be able to stay in the neighborhood despite all the changes that are happening there. And so the work is definitely, we see the work paying off. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Liberty Bank building is somewhere I go across America and I talk about it. And even when people come here, excuse me, when people come to Seattle, especially Black people from other cities, and they talk about community and the lack thereof of community in Seattle in their perspective, because they might be coming from a city with a big Black population, so many restaurants, so many this and that. I'm like, Seattle, sometimes we need to quantify or change what the definition of a community necessarily means, right? Because there's a lot of people who come to Seattle from cities with a bigger Black population and bigger storefronts and everything else, but they've let their legacy media die. You know, community in Seattle means that the Fax newspaper is here. The Medium is here. KRIZ and KZIZ is here. You know what I'm saying? New media is thriving. The South Seattle Emerald, Rainier Avenue Radio, Converge. You know, a lot of people come to Seattle from cities where they wave the white flag on gentrification. So although they might still have their restaurant core and a lot of social things, man, they've given up on their legacy spaces. In Seattle, what community means is that we buy the block. We build the block and we bring our people back. So I tell people, it's like, before you say Seattle don't got no sense of community, you're right. We might not be out there to show up at the party or at the event or this and that, but we show up where it counts, and where it counts is building up our community.
Definitely. Again, just adding our pages, our contribution, you know, the greatest way we can honor our Black histories, you know, whether it's the Black Wall Streets in Tulsa, Rosewood, Durham, you know, the Black Bottoms, you know, the Bronzevilles, the Harlems, Renaissance, you know, the Motowns, is to make our own history count. And you're doing that here, you know, with your platform, adding on to the legacy of Fitzgerald Beaver and Chris Bennett in terms of Black media, and making it real now. And in 40 years, you're going to be up on the wall. Oh, and so our work, again, as you mentioned, Communion, you know, world renowned now. You mentioned Earl's. Our work is about making space, because we know the brilliance and the genius and the entrepreneurial spirit has always been among us, but it's been so suppressed and restricted. And so our work is really blazing a trail and creating that space so that can blossom, you know, and we want to see, you know, 10 communions. You know, we're excited. Jerk Shack is coming up to 23rd and Union as well, and other businesses. And so again, it's about showing what's possible, right? Because once it can be done one time, then it can be done 2 times, and it can continue to be replicated. And so ultimately, we want to see this at scale. You know, what does it look like for our whole community to be like a Moja Fest every day, right? You know, where wherever you go, you can get, you know, reggae, you can get Afrobeat, you can get hip hop, you can get jazz, you can get salsa, which are all just different reflections of the African diaspora or the Black experience, right? And so I look at it as, and we look at it as, you know, being one gem with many facets, and we just want to make space for that to be, you know, able to really illuminate and continue to inspire the world, because everyone's better. Everyone benefits from the contributions that we've made to this city, to this country, and to the world. So, you know, making space for that is good for everyone, you know, and other communities and neighborhoods right here also, I think, you know, inspired by, you know, the space that, you know, Africatown has been able to move in, as well as you said, you know, other states and other Black communities, because this is a national issue as far as gentrification and displacement, really a third forced migration for Black people who in many ways are still economic refugees from the transatlantic slave trade, and face those obstacles. And so, you know, we're about reparations, we're about restoration, and we're about justice and equity, and this is part of our contribution to that.
Man, and now before I let you go, this was a seed that was planted 14 years ago. We talk about it. We've seen it blossom, and now the groundbreaking. In about 14 months from now, Africatown Plaza will open its doors. We saw over the last year, though, we've seen some press releases come out. The William Gross Center for Innovation, right there, the old firehouse on 23rd and Yesler. We see the Cairo building, right, also kind of off Yesler. And what other things are on the horizon for Africatown Community Land Trust?
Yeah, I mean, our work continues to really, the projects you name is about answering the question, are there Black people in the future, right? And it seems like, oh, that might be like kind of a joke, but it's very real that the trajectory of Seattle, which was, I think, the 5th whitest city and then may have moved to the 4th, is on a trajectory to not, and so, again, our work was around course correcting, right? So that Seattle can be this world-class city with the communities of the world that have made the city. Some of the projects that we are focused on, as you said, William Gross Center will be opening in this spring. It's under construction right now, being renovated. William Gross Center for Cultural Innovation and Enterprise support our technologists, our creatives, our community builders, and our entrepreneurs, creating space for that, facilitating pathways to the innovation and knowledge-based economy around us. We were able to acquire the 16th and Yesler, 1601 Yesler, the former Carroll site just across from Langston Hughes, right, and a block from Pratt. And so ultimately, we're looking at, adding another 300 units of affordable housing and commercial space. It'll be a long planning process for that. Currently the building has been repurposed as Banu Community Home, enhanced shelter program focused on reducing the overrepresentation of Black men among those that are experiencing houselessness by providing culturally responsive trauma-informed care. And we have affordable home ownership projects that we're working on, because ultimately it's not just rental. This was one of the highest.
That's what I'm going to throw in there real quick, because one thing we see in the comments sometimes is like, oh, well, man, they're just making more renters. But actually, you guys have a program as well for home ownership.
Yeah, we our first project is a partnership with Homestead Community Land Trust. It's 10 townhomes that'll be, under $350,000, which is unheard of in the Central District in Seattle, right, where most things are at, 800,000, 700,000 and up. Those will be on available just in a couple months now, and we have another project that we're working around affordable a home ownership. But it's like, how you eat an elephant, right? One bite at a time. So, more the people that lean in, and put their energy in to add fuel to the fire, the more acceleration and greater impact that we can have. We're continuing to work on acquisitions. And then also we want to really look at how can we best support our legacy property owners here. That's a big issue. And again, the Central District was had one of the highest rates of Black home ownerships in the country. So when you speak about what type of Black community, has been here, it has been one that has been moving things forward. We're about, ownership, and again, looking for more, acquisitions so that we can continue to make space for the greatness that exists in our community to be able to stay, and new things to be born and flourish. And then we have, obviously the events that will be coming on, a series of events. But, we can't get it all in right now. I want to, save some, for later. We got, more ribbon cuttings and more activities to come.
All right. Before we let you go, you can look right there in that camera. Tell people how they can keep up with you in the Africatown Community Land Trust.
Yes, Africatown Community Land Trust, Africatown Movement, Africatown SCA across social media, IG, Africatown Community Land Trust across, social media, africatownlandtrust.org. That's where you go. Sign up so you can join the newsletter. You can stay in the know of things. You can find out about opportunities. You can go there. You can give. You can sign up to volunteer to bring your brilliance, your time, your talent, your treasure to add it to the movement. So again, just all things Africatown. We're available online. Follow us, and I think we'll be back on Converge at some point, you know, to give you updates. So thank you for the space.
Definitely. We always looking for the uplift, man. Wyking Garrett, Africatown Community Land Trust. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.